and some of the footage has never been seen before until now.
What is this?
Please note that all persons charged with a crime are presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty in a court of law. On March 17th, 2025, police in Tempe, Arizona respond to a Chipotle after the manager, Emma, reported an unusual encounter at the restaurant.
What'd they do?
In your Emma?
Yeah.
Can you tell me what happened?
Yeah, I can show you videos. I had a customer.
You think this was like a TikTok thing?
It is a TikTok thing. I clocked it immediately. And yeah, it was just like harassing and just getting in the face and stuff.
Your personal sizes have been lacking. So I'm
Bro pulled up with his own army of workers, so I'm here. Entitled, what is this? I haven't seen one of these for a while. Maybe it's time to watch another one. This is insane. So, yeah, it's been a little bit of time, right? They run it. Do they run it? They think they can assault the whole neighborhood for fun? What? What is this?
Who attacked? Which one was it?
Both of them.
Okay.
For what reason? Because I told them to quit beating on a girl.
Multiple times.
Who is you yelling at?
You.
You don't yell at me. I don't care.
Get on the ground right now. Get on the ground.
Settle down, fatty.
Get on the ground. On your face.
Who is you yelling at?
You.
You don't yell at me. I don't care.
Get on the ground right now. Get on the ground.
Because I told them to quit beating on a girl.
Multiple. Who attacked? Which one was it?
Both of them.
Okay.
For what reason? Because I told them to quit beating on a girl.
Multiple times.
Who is you yelling at?
You.
You don't yell at me. I don't care.
Get on the ground right now. Get on the ground.
Settle down, fatty.
Get on the ground. On your face.
Who is you yelling at?
You.
You don't yell at me. I don't care.
Get on the ground right now. Get on the ground.
Settle down, fatty.
Get on the ground. On your face.
We already seen this? I haven't seen it.
Put your finger in my face. I can throw whatever I want to throw.
You'll go right back to prison, buddy.
No,
I got no. Problem. Put your ass back in prison.
Uh-huh.
I have no problem.
Right.
I am the.
Uh-huh.
On May 2nd, 2023, officers rushed to a neighborhood after gunshots were heard off and on. One family was on a rampage, bringing the entire neighborhood to a standstill. And now, the neighborhood's last hope seemed to be the officers who had just arrived.
So they...
Excuse me.
You're good.
They jumped on that white man. They kicked him and beat him out. Me and my neighbor said,
What the fuck?
The gentleman in the gray pants right there? Yep.
Going
He
wild.
shot a gun, about 8 rounds or
So
so.
did. So did.
Then he knocked the female down. Then he knocked the male and the
Yep.
female down. over
Where
in
are
the
those
neighborhood.
people?
Right there.
Is this Grant?
He knocked the female down. Then he knocked the male and the
Yep.
female down. over
Where
in
are
the
those
neighborhood.
people?
Right there.
Is this Grand Theft Auto? Holy shit.
Greenhouse.
them two guys and the
The
white
fuck
people
is
right
wrong
there
with them?
in this house right here.
Did anyone get shot? No.
No,
Uh-huh.
but they shot it. They shot the damn gun.
I seen him shooting it.
Uh-huh.
And then
Just
when
I heard it.
We're gonna be right-
I heard it.
Uh-huh.
But I seen him when they beat that man up.
What kind of gun did he have? It was a pistol. I don't know. Couldn't tell.
Uh-huh.
But I seen him boom, boom, boom.
Them two right there. Them two guys. They beat that man up.
The two that are pushing? Ma'am, I seen it. So the guy in the gray shorts shot the gun off. The other guy is kind of camouflage shorts. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. It's the guy in the gray that he's pushing him back. He's the one that shot off the rounds, knocked over the grill, and started smacking a woman who went this way.
What the fuck?
And before
How do you fuck up that bad?
They got it over here.
They got early access to GTA 6?
Gentleman in the white shirt, the guy in the gray. And then when another man came out, the one that's up by the door now, that's when the other guy, I guess it's his brother, came over and started jumping him.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And they start kicking the man.
Where are you at? Because we're going to... right here. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll be back to talk to you in a minute, okay?
And that's where the problem boys are at?
So I heard gunshots.
Okay.
I came outside.
Is anyone
Uh-huh.
shot or anything?
No.
What's that
attacked-
from?
Those two right there attacked me.
They attacked you?
They attacked him?
Why?
Because I was trying to defend a girl.
Okay. Do you need medical attention?
No.
There's blood? Oh, wow.
All right, just one sec.
No, there's not.
Got two porkers over there. Oh, no.
Hey,
Look at him. Oh, no.
he's saying he was battered by these two guys.
Try it again.
All right.
So try it again.
Uh-huh.
Try it again. Mommy, I ain't doing nothing. I ain't doing not one thing.
Uh-huh.
Not one thing. Go in the house.
What are they doing?
Yeah. So far, he's saying he was battered by them.
Uh-huh.
Oh, he's bleeding. Okay.
Yeah. That's a hurt.
That's a hurt?
Yeah, dude in the gray had the gun.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Can you imagine this is your job, going to houses like this and micromanaging the retards that live in them? That's all you do, is you have to go and rearrange the makeup of this house again. Like, they know who it is. Like, it's the crack house. I know, it's adult daycare. That's crazy.
They're all trying to fight us.
They're trying to...
You don't tell us how this is gonna go.
What?
You don't get to tell us how this is gonna go. We're gonna figure all this out.
I'm gonna tell you.
Okay.
Don't report to me.
Why?
So that's how it's done. We're not taking your word for it. We're standing right here.
Do what you got to do then.
All right. That's what we're gonna do.
Do what you got to do. No, go in the house.
Go in the house.
Go in the house.
Go in the house.
We'll lock the house.
How can all of them...
It's not every day that I see an explanation for the beginning of the universe. Today I have one that was published in PRL, which is the top journal in physics, and it did make quite a few headlines. This new idea elegantly does away with the problem of quantum gravity, and it also tells us what happened before time began. Let's have a look. The biggest open problem in the foundations of physics is that Einstein's theory of gravity, general relativity, doesn't cooperate with quantum mechanics. It's a problem because gravity is caused by matter, and we know that the matter has quantum properties, so gravity must react to these quantum properties of the matter somehow. We just don't know how. To make these two theories work together, we need a theory of quantum gravity. Such a theory of quantum gravity is necessary to understand what happens in places where gravity becomes very strong, because then the quantum fluctuations of space and time are big. This plays a role, most importantly, inside of black holes and at the Big Bang, the beginning of the universe. The issue with quantum gravity is not that we don't know how to convert Einstein's theory into a quantum theory. Einstein's general relativity can be converted into a quantum theory like the other interactions, electric and magnetic, strong and weak nuclear force. It's just that the quantum version of gravity that one obtains this way breaks down exactly when one needs it, inside of black holes and at the Big Bang. The authors of the new paper found a way to remedy this breakdown. You see, the reason that quantizing gravity is so difficult is ultimately easy to understand. It's because the strength of gravity is given by Newton's constant, and that constant is dimensionful. It's got units. The strength of the electromagnetic interaction, on the other hand, is given by alpha, which is approximately 1/137, and that one doesn't have units. It's similar for the nuclear forces. To make quantum gravity work out, one would need the strength of gravity to be dimensionless too. And there is a version of gravity which has this property. It's called quadratic gravity because the action is quadratic in the curvature. And then the coupling constant has no units. Don't worry if you don't know what this means. The relevant point is that this quadratic gravity does have have a neat quantum version. It just isn't compatible with our observations. Then again, this isn't necessarily a problem. It could be that in the cases that we observe gravity, we have Einstein's normal gravity, and then at high energies and strong curvature, it goes over into quadratic gravity, which resolves the problem with quantizing it. Then everything would work out. This is the idea in the new paper. The authors, a group from Perimeter Institute, looked at how the origin of the universe would work out with the transition to quadratic gravity. They find that the universe originally does not have time at all. It's four-dimensional space, but because of quantum fluctuations, there is a border in this space where one of the dimensions turns into time. So this is where our universe properly began. After this happens, the quantum properties drive a rapid expansion of the universe. This is very similar to what's usually called inflation. This process eventually runs out of steam and stops. Then the energy from the expansion converts into matter and radiation, including dark matter. So this idea solves several problems at once. It explains how the universe started. It explains how our universe came to be that big from what should be a tiny quantum fluctuation. It explains why the universe stopped growing that rapidly and where matter came from. And it does all that without running into the problem with quantum gravity. They even make some predictions for how this idea could become measurable in the future from the gravitational waves that would be produced in the early universe. Sounds too good to be true. And yes, there is a caveat, is that this particular way that they connect Einstein's gravity in the low energy, low curvature range that we observe to the quadratic gravity at high energy and strong curvature is well motivated but not strictly speaking derived. This means that basically they have some artistic freedom in designing just how the transition happens. So there is somewhat of a gap in the logic, but maybe it's a gap that can be fixed with further work. I give this paper a 2 out of 10 on the bullshit meter. There are a lot of theories for the origin of the universe, but few are as minimalistic as that. The idea that quadratic gravity can solve the problem with quantum gravity is not entirely new. It's also behind an approach called asymptotically safe gravity that goes back to Steven Weinberg, but this is the first time that I've seen this idea applied to the Big Bang. In summary, they solved quantum gravity, explained the Big Bang, and avoided all known problems. The only remaining issue is whether it's actually true. Good design is art combined with science, and this pen from Novion is the perfect example of functionality with eye-catching looks. The hover pens float in their base thanks to strong permanent magnets and can freely spin. They're really well balanced. You don't need to fumble to put them in, and they don't drop out either. This particular version is the hover pen Interstellar, balanced at the same angle as the tilt of Earth's axis. It has a premium version with a meteorite embedded. Yes, a real meteorite, so there's part of your pen that actually flew through outer space. The hover pen doesn't just look good, it's also a pleasure to write with. It flows nicely across the page and it's refillable too. They also have gift sets for the hover pens like this one, which comes with a notebook and cards for to-do lists. The hover pens are high quality products that I've been using for years and I'm happy to recommend them. And of course I have a special offer. You'll get 15% off in the next 72 hours and 10% after this if you use my QR code or the code Sabine. Links in the info below. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.
Hello InfoPerson, this is Anton, and today we're going to be discussing some really intriguing discoveries in regards to our eyes. Something that technically we do take for granted, but something that actually represents one of the most distinctive and one of the most complex organs in the entire animal kingdom. But also something that's extremely successful in terms of evolution, because a lot of different animals seem to possess eyes, and quite a lot of them use it for survival. And so in this video we're going to discuss this recent study that actually discovered something we've never known before, and specifically answers the question of why human eyes, or technically mammalian eyes, are so different from everyone else. But first, let's start with the somewhat unusual evolutionary argument that even Darwin could not answer. And that's because for centuries, the idea of eyes was even used as an argument against evolution. Mostly because it just seemed to be too perfect to have happened by chance. And even Charles Darwin famously admitted that the idea of eye evolving naturally, or through natural selection, seemed kind of absurd and was very difficult to explain. However, in the last few decades, a lot of studies, including some of the major papers from the last few years, have finally pieced together the incredible journey of how pretty much most animals got their eyes. And it turns out that in terms of evolution, back in the days, our ancestors basically used to be a kind of a cyclops, or they essentially possessed just one eye in the middle. And that turns out to be extremely important in explaining why human eyes, or once again mammalian eyes, are just a little bit different from many other kingdoms. And so today we're going to take a look at this recent study and discuss some of the main discoveries in regards to the evolution of vision, but much more importantly, we're going to discuss the fact that, turns out, we do have a third eye inside of us. Not some kind of a metaphysical or symbolic eye, but instead a real one that technically still has the same function as it did 600 million years ago. And ironically, it's literally right here, right in the middle. And so let's discuss exactly what scientists recently discovered, and well, in some sense, this might unofficially blow your minds and stuff. At least it blew my mind when I read it. But in a nutshell, this entire study explains the unusual properties of human eyes as a result of a temporary lifestyle change of an ancient mammalian ancestor 600 million years ago. But to understand the recent breakthroughs, we first have to discuss what scientists have already known for quite a long time. Or basically, we have to discuss the evolution of eyes in general and how we think all of this started. And as you probably know, the evolution of the eye is not a single event. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of evidence that complex eyes and the idea of vision very likely evolved completely independently at least 40, but possibly up to 65 times across different animal groups. In other words, this was such a successful mechanism that it basically evolved in completely different animals, resulting in completely different eyes. But despite this diversity, almost all eyes share the same basic genetic master control. This is actually a gene referred to as PAX6, a master regulator for eye and brain development. And in case you're wondering, it looks kind of like this. And so this is something that pretty much all organisms that contain eyes seem to have as well, suggesting that this is something that's extremely ancient and something that very likely evolved nearly 1 billion years ago. And for pretty much all organisms that evolved vision, it very likely all started in an extremely similar way. It started with simple light-sensitive proteins referred to as opsins. And this basically was a kind of an eye spot that could not actually see shapes and could not detect motion, but could tell difference between light and dark. This is actually something that still exists in animals like planarians. And so pretty much most animals that have eyes very likely began as this. But then eventually, a lot of these flat patches of cells started to fall inwards and started to form a kind of a cup. And this was a massive upgrade because now it allowed animals to tell which direction light was coming from. So essentially it allowed for limited directional sensitivity. Once again, this is something that does exist in some of the more primitive worms. But it's really the next step that started to change everything. Here we had the pinhole eye. And so as this cup got deeper and deeper, the opening started to get smaller, and basically it started to act like a kind of a pinhole camera, which allowed for the first actual images to start forming, even though overall they were quite dim. But as this cavity then started to fill with liquids, this is when things started to evolve very, very quickly, and the vision became better and better. And so basically the last step was the lens, some kind of a transparent protective layer, most likely involving some kind of a transparent skin, that eventually evolved into a lens that started to focus light. And though by itself this might seem like some kind of a very long process, according to various evolutionary models and computer simulations, in order to evolve from a simple eye patch to a much more complex eye with a lens, animals would not actually need more than 400,000 years. So in theory, this can be an extremely quick process and seems to be so effective that it happened dozens of times and resulted in very similar eye structures. And so that's the general path for most animals that resulted in a variety of different eyes. And by the way, if you actually want to learn about the unusual eye shapes and some of the unusual eye properties animals contain, check out one of the previous videos here in the description. But there's always been this one question in regards to the eyes that we have. Because compared to a lot of other animals, our eyes are actually a little bit different. And one of the best comparisons here is basically between our eyes and the eyes of an octopus. Or technically not just an octopus, but basically any invertebrate with complex eyes, including cuttlefish and squid. And this is of course a classic example of convergent evolution. Both the eyes of a human and an octopus evolved a kind of a camera-type structure involving a lens, an iris, and a retina. But the internal wiring seems to be entirely different. Specifically because in humans and a lot of mammals, the eye is actually inverted, whereas octopuses have everted retina. Or just to rephrase this, in our eyes, the sensitive receptors that perceive the light seem to be located in the back of the eye, with the neurons connected to all of this being in front, whereas for the octopus, the cells are in front and the neurons are in the back. And because of this, human eye has what's known as a blind spot, where a lot of these neurons, or a lot of these nerve fibers, converge at a single point and form what's known as the optic nerve. And so because there's a kind of a hole inside the retina, this forms a blind spot. Octopuses and squid don't have any blind spots. Our eyes also differ in the way they seem to focus and use the lens. The human eye uses tiny muscles, referred to as ciliary muscles, to change the actual shape of the lens, whereas octopuses seem to focus very similar to a traditional camera lens and move the entire lens forward or backwards. And so in other words, even though the overall effect of vision seems to be the same, the structure is entirely different. And of course, on top of this, humans have a sophisticated system, usually involving at least 3 types of cone cells that allow us to see 3 different colors, whereas octopuses just have 1 photoreceptor. But they're sensitive to polarization of light, which we cannot see. And so here the obvious question was, okay, so why did our eyes evolve so differently? And why do vertebrate retina seem to have such a strange structure compared to everyone else? And well, that's basically the focus of this recent study on the evolution of vertebrate retina that explains most of this by looking back approximately 600 million years. Now, first in this study there's this incredible illustration that summarizes the main differences and main similarities between various eyes in various types of animals. So everything from insects to different types of worms to, of course, vertebrates. But turns out that our eyes, or vertebrate eyes, may have had a much stranger history. And so here scientists George Kafetzis and Dan Nilsson surveyed 36 major groups of living animals and discovered that the light-sensing cells seem to be always found in 2 places, either paired on the side of the head, kind of like I guess what we have, or sometimes in the middle of the head, so basically a kind of a middle eye. And well, apparently 600 million years ago, we kind of had this unusual worm-like ancestor that seems to have had both sets. In other words, it had the lateral eyes and the middle eye. It's obviously not entirely clear why this evolved, but it very likely served some kind of a purpose. But around this time, very likely because of various climatic changes, instead of being active feeders and very likely moving around, they eventually became stationary and just like so many other worms became filter feeders, basically burrowed into seabeds and remained more or less motionless. And because they were no longer moving around, the eyes on the side of their head, or the steering eyes, were no longer necessary. And just like it usually happens with animals that don't use something, they eventually lose it. This actually happens to a lot of different fish that, for example, live in complete darkness and eventually lose their eyes. But because of their lifestyle, they very likely still had to be able to tell time, or specifically tell when it was daytime. And so they needed to have some kind of a simple way of detecting light. And so their light-sensing cells in the middle of the head seem to have remained, and eventually developed into some kind of a single midline eye that you can kind of see right here. And so as I mentioned in the beginning, 600 million years ago, our ancestors were possibly a cyclops, a tiny, motionless worm cyclops. But then climate changed again, and our ancestors decided to change their lifestyle once again, and so they very likely returned to swimming, which means that they needed to steer again, and which means that they needed to have these lateral eyes that were so successful before. And the evolution solved this by having that single midline eye grow cups on each side, with these cups eventually moving to the sides of the head and becoming the pairs of eyes that most vertebrates have today. So basically this was the beginning of some of the first fish, with that fish eventually making their way to the terrestrial surface and evolving into lizards, which then evolved into mammals and eventually us. And overall this kind of explains why the vertebrate eyes are so different from invertebrate eyes, once again including octopus and most of the insects. And so our eyes are essentially a repurposed version of that central midline eye. Okay, cool, that's I guess an interesting proposition and an interesting hypothesis. But first of all, is there any proof? And second of all, why did I actually mention in the beginning that we still seem to possess a third eye? Well, that's because this particular discovery actually explains so much about one specific gland right here in the middle, the pineal gland. It's actually this super tiny red spot you see right there in the middle. And based on a lot of neuroscience studies, we know that in humans, the pineal gland, or this unusual pine cone-shaped structure, seems to produce melatonin and regulate our sleep. In other words, it's critical in regulating biological rhythms. But we also know that it's somewhat sensitive to light, as in it usually receives signals from our two eyes right here via hypothalamus. And so when it's dark, melatonin production increases, which makes you sleepy, but when it's light, the production is stopped, and this allows you to stay alert. And that's of course the natural of the so-called circadian rhythm. But we know that obviously other vertebrates have this as well. And intriguingly, in many other vertebrates like certain lizards, frogs, and of course fish, the pineal gland is actually connected to a visible third eye on top of their head. This is known as the parietal eye. Here's for example one in a bullfrog, and here's one inside a lizard. And this is not just a dot, this is an actual eye with a cornea, a lens, and a retina. And even though our pineal gland is technically buried inside the skull and does not see the light directly, it still contains exactly the same structure and same cells referred to as pinealocytes. These are actually found in the retinas of our eyes as well. Or just to rephrase this, if you were to shine the light on the pineal gland somehow, you would probably sense it. And so, in a very real sense, it's actually not wrong to say that we have three eyes, and we do have a third eye right here in the middle. Although we don't really see much with it anymore, unlike these other vertebrates like frogs and fish. But more importantly, this confirms this unusual origin story, and confirms that the origin of vertebrate vision is still inside of us even today. As a matter of fact, it confirms that our eyes very likely started from that central eye in the middle, sometimes 600 million years ago. But in terms of the evolution of vision, one question still remains. Why do so many animals contain eyes? Or basically, why is vision so successful? And today it's believed that it was really because of the Cambrian explosion approximately 540 million years ago. This is based on the idea known as the light switch hypothesis that suggests that once some of the first complex eyes appeared, specifically in animals like trilobites, it basically sparked a kind of an evolutionary arms race. And this is because vision turned animals into active hunters and not just passive feeders. And that means that prey also had to evolve in order to survive. And so here we had a kind of a burst of evolutionary innovation that eventually led to massive diversity of life and massive diversity of eyes we see today. But without this first evolution of eyes, the complexity we see inside of us would never exist. So the eye evolution was actually extremely important. But once again, because of the way our eyes evolved, and because they were kind of a split off from the central eye, they essentially contain a kind of an evolutionary baggage. So basically it explains why our eyes seem to be built backwards and upside down compared to eyes of octopuses. But despite this backward design, our eyes seem to be still much more efficient and even seem to have much higher metabolism, which actually helps us see incredible detail that's almost impossible for many different invertebrates. In other words, despite this backward design, our eyes are still much more efficient. But overall, these types of studies take us just a little bit closer to helping us understand how complex life evolved and how our brains and our senses seem to be wired together. And so this basically shows us that evolution doesn't always find a perfect path, but sometimes just takes these unusual shortcuts or even repurposes something that we already have in order to create something unusual and something spectacular. But at least for now, that's all I wanted to mention. Once we discover something else, we'll come back and talk more about this in some of the future videos. Until then, thank you for watching, subscribe, come back tomorrow to learn something else, support the channel on Patreon where you can find additional videos without any ads and can DM me directly, or by joining channel membership that grants you early access. You can also support this channel by buying the Wonderful Person t-shirt in the description below. Stay wonderful, I'll see you tomorrow, and as always, bye bye.
If your alien looks human, has human organs, and behaves human, it's not useful to think of it as alien anymore.
Okay, exactly. See, that's my point. Like, if I don't see them or
So right now I'm actually streaming on
experiencing them, they don't exist. How do we know this is not an alien? Isn't an alien named
Hello? Are you an alien? Hello? Hello?
Okay, this is why a lot of your colleagues don't like you. I gotta be honest with you.
Why do UFO sightings persist? Are at least some of them figments of our imagination? Or are we missing something? In my latest book, Take Me to Your Leader, I actually explore what's possible in this universe, given the universal laws of physics. If the aliens are out there, the laws of physics will dictate how they find us. I also narrated the audiobook, so I'm duly informed that the audiobook and the print version are available now, wherever books are sold. This is Star Talk. Neil deGrasse Tyson here, your personal astrophysicist. We've got a Cosmic Queries edition, one I'm very much looking forward to. And to help me out here, we got Paul Mercurio. How you doing, man?
I'm good, buddy. Good to see you again.
All right. Comedian Paul Mercurio. And sometimes we cannot do a show without our geek-in-chief. That would be Chuck Liu. Charles Liu. How you doing, man?
Go. Come on.
Doing very well. Thank you so much, Neil.
All right.
Hi, Paul.
Old time friend and colleague, Charles Liu. And
That's not what you were saying about him. It was a lot of like, oh, Charles.
So you are the Baron, and remind me of your title.
Baron?
Yeah, he's a Baron.
Oh, congratulations, sir.
Please genuflect.
Oh.
In your chair. No, don't have a stroke. Just genuflect. Yes, I'm a Baron now. I was knighted by my man.
Do you have a title? I don't remember. That means you don't. If you're trying to think.
No, I don't think I do.
We'll work on that.
Yeah. It's really okay. Right. It's really okay.
Let me remind people. Oh my gosh, the handy quantum physics answer book.
Now that's a book, not that thing you got.
Oh no!
Come on.
Well, my book. You just talking smack about my little book. Yeah, that's true. Okay, but Charles Liu, this is not your first rodeo with the handy answer franchise, right?
It is not.
What were your other handy answers?
Handy astronomy and handy physics.
Handy answer book in astronomy, physics,
and quantum physics. Yeah, we were able to dig really deeply into a lot of the mysteries that we couldn't cover in a big encyclopedic book like that.
And there's nothing like
mysteries
in quantum physics.
I want one. I want you to sign it for me.
It would be my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. This is for me. It's a significant contribution to the literature of science that's trying to reach the general public. Because everyone loves quantum physics and no one knows how to talk about it. There it is.
I have a book.
Did I ask you?
It's the 2000 best fart jokes, and it's really good.
Wow. Today's topic is aliens.
Love it. Love it.
How could that not be the topic of every possible conversation everyone ever has?
Exactly.
Aliens. But before I begin, we are recording this on your birthday.
That is correct. It
And
is my birthday.
I called my office. Frankly, I forgot it was your birthday. So I said, I scrambled, what can I get him? And so I went into deep in my archives, into my drawer. And I have...
What is this? It looks pretty
It
cool.
is a blank piece of paper.
It is a pocket protector called Nerd Pride.
I love it.
Because you're a co-host on a science
I'm
show.
officially a nerd.
We're turning you into a nerd.
Yes.
So let me see if this fits in that pocket.
All right, there we go. Unzip it.
There you go.
There we go. Hang on a second. Let me put my... Okay, let's go. Lady, hey, that's a Jerry Lewis.
That was
reference.
Jerry Lewis
That's
a nerd? I
Yeah,
mean-
well, that
in
was
that role, he was a
yeah,
nerd.
in
Yeah,
that
it was
role, that was the
completely.
thing that
Yeah,
broke him
that's
out.
true.
Hey,
That's
lady, David. Okay, hang on. Let me load it up. Wait a minute. I got to
Load it
load it up now.
Yeah, there you go.
You got to have your red. You got to have your
You
blue.
can put it all the way in.
There you go. And
There
you
you
got the thing. And then we got the green.
RGB.
All right.
RGB.
And then
There you
this
go.
is my regular use
Ballpoint.
pen right there.
There you go. All right.
All right. I am already 10 IQs points smarter. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, this is Cosmic Queries. So people wrote in. They know that the topic is aliens.
Wonderful.
When I was a kid, I wanted to be abducted.
Oh, wow.
All the time I spend out alone as an astronomer, you're out with your telescope alone in the dark sky looking up at the stars.
Did you
I
want
did
to
too.
be probed too?
No, that's no. Did I
Okay.
say that?
No, just saying.
I do. Come on.
This is like just barely out
Oh.
yet. Take me to your leader.
Nice.
Wonderful.
Oh yeah, this
Cool
is like an
cover.
early mock-up of the cover, but it looks like with it's got the traditional flying
Why
saucer.
don't you put your head sticking out there, Charles and mine, like we're on the ship and we've been taken
can do
away.
this.
Oh,
We'll have looks of anguish and you'll be really happy as you're getting probed going to another planet.
yeah. So it's all in here. It's take me to your leader. It's what should you do when an alien walks up to you and says, "Take me to your leader."
How do you know that they're not already here, though? In a
we know.
form.
We talk about that as well.
In a form.
There's very little you're going to think of about aliens that I have not addressed in this book.
Oh, I think
I'm just saying. Because if you're a fly-by-night alien thinker, I'm a total alien
Are you
thinker.
challenging my alien
I
thinking?
totally am.
All right, here we go. Now it's a throwdown.
So clearly, I'm not the only one in the universe thinking about aliens.
No, this is a big
Congress
topic.
was thinking about aliens.
Yes.
All right. And what we care about is not what I think. I want to know what our Patreon
Absolutely.
supporters
We got some
think.
really great questions on
And
this.
this is the entry level membership in the Patreon club.
I understand that 10% of those people are aliens from another planet.
I'm not authorized to comment on that.
Here we go.
Okay.
All right.
What do you
Hello,
have?
Dr. Tyson. This is Adam Jones. Hello, Dr. Tyson. Assuming an intelligent extraterrestrial society has learned to travel at the speed of light, what would acceleration look like for them? For instance, my car accelerates and I feel it. The space shuttle launches producing an acceleration of 3G. Would something going from 0 miles an hour to full speed of light just be obliterated? What would the power time curve look like for acceleration?
There's in that book, I talk about this because one of the wow factors of flying saucers is that they're there hovering and then they instantly hit 1,000 miles an hour.
But they have
like in a
mass, so they
second.
can't reach speed of light
Well,
because
no,
they have mass.
I'm not even talking about the speed of light. I'm just talking about what people see.
Like interstellar speeds.
Yeah, like if you go from 0 to 1,000 miles an hour in 1 second, you can calculate how many G's that is. That's 50 G's. If you're made of anything with molecules, you're a pile of goo at the end of that. So, but plus, Charles, the people speak of this happening with no sound.
That's right.
Now, we've made great progress over the decades.
That's right.
With making loud things less loud.
That's right.
But I think there's something we cannot overcome, and that's if you break the sound barrier.
Yeah. It's always a challenge because when you are moving faster than sound or go from slower than sound to faster than sound, you create a shock wave in the medium that you're traveling.
And that's what we hear.
And that's the sonic boom.
Yeah.
Right. So being able to go from below sonic to supersonic, you have to be careful so as not to cause that kind of boom or to control it in a way that will not.
How are you going to do that and not make a boom?
Well,
think that's possible? You think there's a way you can make
People have been working on it for a really long time. And our astronautic and aeronautic engineering colleagues have much better ways of doing it. But one of the things that we tried to figure out when we've made the first aircraft go to Mach 1, as you get closer and closer to the speed of sound, your vibration increases, your shaking gets worse and worse and worse. You got to just pop right through it in a quick motion in order to reduce the amount of damage that your vehicle is getting when it's going through the speed of
what
sound.
you just said presupposes, are you slowing down a little bit as you get closer to it?
No, you're trying to speed up more and more and more and more. But if you
reduce the time it takes before you cross that barrier.
Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So that speed, it makes a big difference. Now, when we're talking about the speed of light, that's a whole different dynamic because you're traveling in space, you don't have the atmosphere to worry about. Instead, you do have this acceleration issue, right? In fictional spaces, like, say, Star Trek, you have this thing called an inertial dampener, which makes it so that you can stand on the bridge and go to warp speed and not have to worry about falling over. But in real life...
But at least they thought about that.
That's right.
So that it's a thing to compensate for.
Well, they thought about it after the fandom told them, hey, you know what? You have to take into account of this.
And were you at the top signature
on that
letter?
I was too young to be allowed to do that.
But you would have, had you been. All right.
If I had the chance. The story with that travel is that we slowly accelerate and go until we get faster and faster and faster until about halfway. Then you turn the spaceship around and start slowing it down.
If you accelerate at 1G,
yes.
When do you get to half the speed of light? It's pretty quick. It's like 6 months or something?
It's not that long.
Yeah.
Right, so you can get very, very close.
Because you're constantly increasing your speed and you're just living in 1G as though you're on Earth.
That's
on your spaceship.
But to bring this back to the alien, if they can't reach the speed of light through acceleration, is there any known physics that would bypass that limit?
Can, if you do it steadily enough.
Right.
Yeah.
You do it slowly.
Is that the physics that allow them to bypass that limit?
That's you don't bypass the speed of light. What you do is you approach the speed of light gently and gradually. That way you don't get
a relationship.
One hopes.
Yes. Hold my hand.
Some things
the
go
speed of
fast.
light is not just a good idea. It's the law.
Okay.
Like a state trooper.
But this idea of speeding up slowly and then slowing down slowly keeps our bodies from being plastered against the back of the wall.
Right.
But it
There's a
also
pile of goo.
gives us an automatic free gravity.
But is the barrier to interstellar travel like speed or the energy required to sustain acceleration close to light speed?
For me, it's speed. Once you get to any sustained speed,
Yeah.
if you're traveling at, say, 99% of the speed of light compared to me, you can turn off your engines and you'll just keep going at that speed as long as you're not speeding up and you're not things slowing you down like you're hitting asteroids or things like that.
By the way, no one knew that until Galileo did experiments.
That's right.
Everyone before that said, everything in motion comes to rest. That was very Aristotelian, without knowing that if you make it really smooth and you reduce the friction, it'll just continue
That's right.
forever.
So it's not a matter of being able to get to that speed. It's a matter of how fast will you get to the next spot, or how long will it take for you to get to the next destination? And even at the speed of light, the nearest star system other than our solar system is more than 4 years worth of travel away. So you just have to be patient.
Does distance shrink for them if time slows enough during their light speed?
That's a great question. It turns out that space in front of them does shrink for them, but it doesn't shrink for you. So that when you
the observer.
Right, when you, the observer, are watching them, they don't seem like that they're going less. When they are moving very fast compared to you, it does seem like to them that the distances are less, but then they slow down to match your universe again. And when they are sharing your frame of reference, then their distance has returned to the size that you see, because they
But a
see it at the
consequence
same
of this
speed.
is that they will not age the 4 years.
Correct.
That the time that you see would have occupied. And they did this famously with the gargantuan planet in Interstellar.
Yep.
Where you have the different experiences of time. So there's a, do you live long enough to go the distance you need to go to arrive at your destination before you die?
Right.
And do you have the energy to sustain that acceleration to reach the high speeds
But
that
it's
you
not
want?
just the energy, but the environment has to be right to sustain that, right? There can't be any friction, right? Any of that, right?
Yeah, well, empty space, that's not usually a problem.
Yeah. Well, you never know. There might be stuff.
Little
that
space
shows up.
gremlins pulling you back.
There is a really good science fiction novel called The Songs of Distant Earth that Arthur C. Clarke wrote, where he created an idea where there was a spaceship that could move very, very close to the speed of light, but every once in a while had to stop and pick up ice. Turned out that the energy produced by the engines was being drawn by the 0-point energy that surrounds all of space. And so that fictional thing allowed that spacecraft to travel as far as you wanted with unlimited amounts of propulsion. But they just had to bring ice up and create a big shield in front of the spacecraft so that when micrometeoroids and things like that, the interstellar space stuff, as small as it is, will keep hitting this ice. And that's like a shield that prevents the spacecraft from being damaged.
My understanding was he had a cooler of beer and he needed ice.
Only one? That's incredible.
It might feel like aliens are suddenly everywhere in the news. New sightings, government disclosures, mysterious objects that defy explanation. But if you look closely, not all of these stories carry the same weight. So the real question isn't just what's being reported, it's how it's being framed and who's doing the framing. That's why we've partnered with Ground News since 2024. Their app and website give us a data-driven approach to reading the news by pulling articles from over 50,000 sources worldwide in one place. You can easily compare how different sources cover the same story and get a visual breakdown on the bias, reliability of a source, and who owns it. Take this recent story about Trump's order to release government files on aliens. If you scroll down to the headlines, you can quickly compare how it's being covered across 600 different sources. Scientific American mentions that the release evidence would obscure scientific research for extraterrestrial life, while multiple sources on the right focus on the political implications and shock factor. Ground News' blind spot feed doesn't allow any of that to be missed by showing stories that are disproportionately reported by either side of the political spectrum. We've been partnered with Ground News since 2024 for their transparency and because they're fully subscriber funded, so there aren't corporate interests deciding what you can and cannot see. If that's the kind of world you want to live in, You can get the same unlimited Vantage plan we use for 40% off at ground.news/StarTalk or by scanning the QR code on the screen.
Charles,
yeah,
this is an advanced future thing,
Yes.
and his force field is a hunk of ice. Is that the best they can come up with? Really?
It was a fascinating irony.
Yeah,
Obviously,
okay.
it was a plot device,
Yeah,
right?
okay,
But that allowed Arthur C. Clarke to imagine a connection with humans that had gone before the spacecraft went. And so almost like another alien civilization, but they were all human biologically speaking. It was very, very interesting.
Hello, Dr. Tyson. My name is Daniel, and I'm in Madeira, California.
Love it.
I've heard you talk before about how aliens in movies are too humanoid and that they would likely take a different form. I'm wondering what you think they would really look like or how they'd behave, gas or liquid form, or something we can't even see or sense. Thank you.
Yeah. So in Take Me to Your Leader.
No, I heard
it. Good book.
I talk about ideas that people have had about non-traditional aliens. But let's just first start with the Blob.
Yeah.
Love me some Blob. All right, 1958. Stephen McQueen, how he was credited in that film. It was a non-vertebrate.
Did we bother to
thing.
explain what comprises the Blob?
No, because it's alien and it wants to just eat you. Okay.
Just imagine a big amoeba. What we have now on microscopic level, but it's just big.
Yeah, it's big. It's macroscopic.
Yeah.
And it just there it is.
Could you keep doing that? That feels good.
But the other ideas have come before this. Like Fred Hoyle.
Yes.
He wrote a short story. Fred Hoyle is infamous for
the Big Bang.
For naming the Big Bang pejoratively, because he was into the steady state universe, he said, "You got this Big Bang." It started and the name stuck. But so he's
maybe the aliens they turned themselves into what they think we can understand. They observed us and said, "Blob is about as much as they could figure out."
The best we can do.
Okay, yeah, but except that the Blob ate you. So the Blob was not seeking.
Okay, why are we
interspecies
always assuming the
communication.
alien either wants to probe us or eat us?
Well, I'm getting there.
Why aren't they coming and they're just like, you know what? I heard you got some nice up at Saks.
Here's the thing.
I heard that too.
From childhood, we know that it's way worse to be eaten than it is to just die.
Versus
all of those childhood nursery, not the nursery rhyme, what do you call it?
Because it's a slow death.
The
fairy tales.
The fairy tales. The fairy tales.
Yeah.
There's Goldilocks. Is she going to be eaten by the bear?
Yeah.
There's Little Red Riding Hood. She'd be eaten by the wolf. The three pigs. Aliens that eat you is more terrifying than an alien that just kills you. That's my only point. And this is left over from childhood.
Yeah, but killing and eating, it's the same thing.
It is intellectually, but emotionally, this is why Jurassic Park is so devastating.
Form of death.
I know, but emotionally, do you want to be bitten in half? No. So here's my point.
I would.
Can I get back to Fred Hoyle?
If you must.
Okay, so Fred Hoyle imagined a life form.
Yes.
In the form of a cloud.
Yes, he did.
An interstellar cloud.
Yeah.
There was a sort of electrical synapses within the cloud that constituted its intelligence. Think of the human brain, but just now on the scale of something larger than a solar system.
That's right.
It came in and it blocked sunlight. And the scientist, because it had no harm, it didn't want to harm us. It was just being alive. And the scientists figured out how to communicate with it. And they said, look, we're down here. And the cloud was incredulous that something so tiny as we could have any intelligence at all. Because it's a big cloud, right? It can't wrap its cloud around us. Okay, but it realizes...
But the cloud doesn't have a Jiffy Lube, so how sophisticated can it be?
But the scientists figure out how to communicate, and the scientists reason with it, and so it opens a hole between the sun and Earth, because it had blocked Earth. And then the humans are skeptical of this relationship that the scientists have put forth, and they want to send nukes at it.
Yep.
And so the scientists warn the cloud, which is like treason.
Yes.
Right? That's
nukes coming up your ass. Hit the road.
And so the cloud, in response, says, all right, we could snuff you out like this, but we'll just teach you a lesson. So all the nukes get launched, and the cloud redirects them back to Earth.
Yeah.
and they all explode on Earth and kill thousands of, not millions, but thousands of people.
Yeah.
So this is a life form that is hardly shown in Hollywood because it's not an actor donning a costume.
Well, but
and it's not a vertebrate thing with a face and shoulders and arms
But
and
here's
fingers
the
and legs.
supposition I always have a problem with, which is that we talk about aliens on Earth, and it's sort of a black and white sort of discussion, which is if I don't see them or experiencing them, they don't exist. How do we know this is not an alien? Right? How do I know my Wi-Fi isn't an alien named?
Hello? Are you an alien? Hello? Hello?
Okay. This is why a lot of your colleagues don't like you. I gotta be honest with you.
The IMDb, Internet Movie Database, lists, what is it? It's 3,000 movies, TV shows, products, games that have alien in the title or alien in the description. Wow. Like thousands. Some of them are fun titles, like My Stepmother's an Alien. My favorite is Cowboys and Aliens. Yes. I saw that movie.
I did not.
Yeah, that had Daniel Craig in it.
Harrison Ford.
And was he in it too?
I believe so.
Really? Okay. Let's go back to if it walks like a duck, acts like a duck, it looks like a duck, it's a duck. Okay? If your alien looks human, has human organs, and behaves human, it's not useful to think of it as alien anymore.
Okay, exactly. See, that's my point. Like, if an alien shows up and it looks like you or you, I'm going to be bummed out because I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be a sophisticated. How sophisticated can they be if this is the best they can do?
Did you ever watch reruns of My Favorite Martian?
Yes.
That was an alien that was just kind of hanging out and was just like your funny, cheerful uncle, right?
But I have to laugh because I'm old enough that I watched My Favorite Martian.
Yes,
And you didn't have to say, did I watch reruns? Okay.
Well, you know.
My Favorite Martian. So what passed for an alien in the 60s, in the early 60s, was he just had, he went into Martian mode. He looked human in every other way, but he had two antennae that come
Right, but let's talk about E.T. for a minute. So Steven Spielberg is a brilliant director, right? And he surrounds himself with brilliant people that make movies. And they still had to give it a head and eyes and a finger.
This is my issue.
You know, and it's like, really?
They're all vertebrate.
Right.
And, vertebrates in the tree of life are kind of the only ones that have faces, as we think of as faces. Invertebrates, like, octopus has eyes, but we don't think of it as a face in the way we normally. We owe our faces to fish, okay, as our vertebrate ancestors. So that's our bias. It's a powerful bias.
Okay, but they might evolve with no faces at all, which basically puts them one step ahead of people on Zoom.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's why I spent half a chapter just talking about aliens that do not match anything Hollywood has ever thought of.
This is Sam Couch. Hello, Dr. Tyson. Sam here from Boulder, Colorado.
All right.
If an alien species visits our planet, it likely means they found a way to not destroy themselves. What would be most excited to learn from this alien species? What would be the first question you would ask, assuming we have a way to communicate?
My first
question would be, how did you not destroy yourselves?
Yes.
Right?
I would ask a different question. How the hell did you get here? That's what I would ask.
And they turn out, I bet you, to be quite related. Because it is well known that if you take a system that you can travel some fraction of the speed of light, it is much easier to use it as a weapon than as a mode of transportation.
Yes.
Yeah, anything advanced such as that.
That's right.
And humans are really good at making weapons out of new discoveries.
That's true. My question would be, did your civilization go through a phase like where the smartest technology you came up with, like a cell phone, was used exclusively to watch cat videos? That would be my question. And then they would immediately leave the planet.
Do they look like cats, though? Do they look like cats?
They're adorable. Oh, no, well, they're alien cats.
Alien
cats. There you go.
They've got 3 heads
That'd be even
and a
worse.
probe. How about, are there any questions you discovered that can't be answered, no matter how advanced?
I would. So here's what I do.
I'd like to see what they think their limits are.
Here it is. So I have a section here called Alien Intelligence, and I explore what we could share with them to convince them that we have some intelligence. And
well, don't tell them we pay $80 to watch sweaty men fight on pay-per-view. Don't tell them that.
I won't tell them that, I promise.
that definitely takes us off the list of intelligence.
Okay.
I would share the prime numbers.
Prime numbers should be in there. However, I got a better thing.
They don't need prime numbers. They're more sophisticated.
Carl Friedrich Gauss.
Yes.
Okay.
That hack.
Yes. Gauss, brilliant, top 5 mathematicians ever. Would you agree?
Top 10.
Top 10th.
Carl Friedrich Gauss was an astronomer as well. Yes. He did some astronomical discoveries also.
In fact, the method of least squares was invented by him to predict the position of an asteroid after it disappeared behind the sun. He took these data and said, where will it be when it comes out the other side?
Well, that's not that hard, is it?
If no one has ever done it before, it's hard. Okay? Yeah, you have to know that that was something you could do.
Yes.
And he figured, those guys, Gauss who did that.
I believe so.
Okay. So he said, here's what you do. Let's go into the tundra where there are no trees, and then bring in trees and create a huge triangle.
3, 4, 5 triangle?
Yes. Well, any triangle, wouldn't matter. Okay? Create a right triangle. Then create wheat fields and make squares coming off of each side of the triangle. Do you remember your Pythagorean theorem?
Yes.
Tell me.
I can't remember exactly, but I remember.
Okay. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Okay, these are the sides of the triangle. Remember the hypotenuse? Okay. Since A squared plus B, what is A squared? That's the area of a square coming off the side of the triangle. So draw a square. Draw a square here. Draw a square there. And then you can, at night, set it afire. And then aliens on other planets would see this and know that's not random. This is, people know math. People, and so it's a way to broadcast in a day when there was no, electromagnetic broadcast. So that's one way to show that you're intelligent. And now the prime number thing, Carl Sagan had prime numbers in the original Contact novel.
That's right.
Where they were embedded in the signals.
2, 3, 5, 7.
However, that's counting in base 10.
If you just have dots, you could count in base 100. Just put dots.
But we're presuming they count in base 10 and we don't know that.
However you count them, that's
However
what it is.
you count them, that's what they are. You don't have to put numerals. That would be
that's
tough.
right.
Well,
that's
I'd like to know how they think about consciousness and purpose. Like, do they see intelligence as purely biological or something like more fundamental to the universe?
For that, they'd probably want to read like our tort law. Right? Yes. They want to see what our statutes are.
Exactly.
You mean the aliens to try to learn about us?
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's what you would see, and then you would see all the different variations.
But I'm still going to start with science and math. Math is the language of the universe.
Also, why are we assuming they don't have consciousness and purpose like we do?
That's later. I'll figure that out later. I want to know if we have any common language at all, and that's not going to happen by reading tort law to them.
I don't know. Maybe.
What?
This is the point about language, right? You guys know my oldest daughter, Hannah, is trained as a linguist as well. Right, and she is commonly...
And a classicist, too. Right?
Yes, as a classicist and a religious studies person and speaks Italian, blah, blah, blah. She's pretty awesome. But never minding
Says
that.
Dad.
Exactly.
No question.
I'm Italian. Let me talk to her.
She has told me many times, and including just recently, we're talking about the movie Arrival. The way that they attempted to show intelligence was to share a language. And the translation of the language was the thing that allowed the greatest connection. Eventually, the protagonist, played by Amy Adams in the movie, learned so much.
As the linguist.
Yes, as the linguist, learned so much about their language, actually starting to understand it, began to understand the nature of time itself.
Time as they perceive it and experience it.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about music for a minute and E.T. and sort of
that's Close Encounters of the Third
Close
Kind.
Encounter. I'm sorry. Close
Get your
Encounters.
movie straight.
Okay. Well, it's all
You're my co-host on this show. Don't confuse Close Encounters and E.T.
Yeah, it's all that Spielberg guy.
The theme from Close Encounters was also used as a joke.
The
five musical notes.
Which is based in math.
Yes.
Right?
Was also used in the movie Moonraker, James Bond movie, as a key code to enter a special secret door.
Oh,
I did not know that.
That was for fun. That was a joke.
Charles, how do you know that? Okay, I got that out of my system.
These days, we're used to getting things delivered on demand. Groceries, a new gadget, or the latest book, expanding your view of the universe. And now, you can add T-Mobile 5G home internet to that list. Just order from T-Mobile and enjoy same-day delivery with DoorDash. And you can set it up yourself in about 15 minutes. No advanced engineering degree required. That means more time doing the things you actually enjoy, like streaming a space documentary or going down a rabbit hole about exoplanets, asteroids, or whatever's pulling your curiosity. And those online explorations are a lot easier with the fastest 5G home internet. So, if you're moving into a new place or just ready to upgrade your connection to something a little more advanced, visit t-mobile.com/home internet to check availability and get your home internet delivered today. Same day delivery for most internet eligible customers. See if it's an option during checkout. Fastest according to Ookla Speed Test Intelligence data, second half 2025. All rights reserved.
Hello, Dr. Tyson. This is Jonathan Lott from a lot of ideas.com in Wiley, Texas. Okay. A longtime listener and recent Patreon supporter.
Nice.
This is my first of many future questions. Sci-fi films like Arrival, Interstellar, and Independence Day suggest humanity unites when faced with a larger external threat. That's a good point. In reality, do you think lasting global unification is possible? What kind of threat, if any, could sustain it for centuries? Would a more severe pandemic or even an alien encounter override our divisions? This guy's depressing. Also, if humans had evolved together on a single landmass like Pangea, might we have developed more unified cultures and fewer conflicts? Thanks for helping.
Well, there's a lot going on there.
There
So
is.
let me lead off by saying that in 1987, Ronald Reagan addressed the UN, and it was still the Cold War. Remember, might have been 86, somewhere in the mid 80s. He's president. He's addressing the UN and says, "Imagine how together we would be." I'm paraphrasing here. If we faced a threat, an alien threat from outer space, our differences would dissolve because we'd come together to fight the common enemy.
Or would they? See, what I would do is I would sell out a country, and then I'd partner with the aliens, and I would coexist like that.
Who invited you on the show? So I think he's largely correct, because that plays out in politics every day. There's the enemy,
yes,
and they're our enemy. So we all bet it happened in Nazi Germany. Very easy. It happened almost too easily. So to the point where if everyone is identical in one island, I think we will still find ways to kill one another. And I wrote about that in a different book, in my Starry Messenger book on conflict and resolution, where you can talk about, well, we don't like you because your skin is dark, or because you pray to a different god, or because you sleep with different people, or because you speak with a different accent. There are all these reasons you can give. Okay, what was World War I and II about? Those were white Christians slaughtering other white Christians. If they can find reasons to do that, then all these other reasons, you're going to come up with reasons to want to tribalize and kill. That is my absence of confidence in our species.
On the other hand,
I need an on the other hand here, so thank you.
On the other hand, Star Trek does provide an alternative explanation for unification. It is a peaceful visit from the Vulcans in 2063, April the 5th, that convinces humans who at that time were still recovering from a world war that we should unite and just be nice to each other. Instead of uniting against the Vulcans as a common enemy, they were like, hey, clearly we're not alone anymore. Let's just get along.
Wait, this happened what year? What year was this?
April 5th, 2063 was first contact.
That's when I check out.
That's when I'm checking in.
The problem with that is that
April 5th.
April 5th.
You know the day of the...
Just watch Star Trek First Contact. Okay, it's right there.
Well, it had to be April 5th. The Vulcans had to get their tax returns in on the 15th, so they had to go back. Their accountants were working on their... So the issue for me is you're never going to get...
Are we enlightened enough to do that?
No, because, well,
I don't think so.
The flip side of that is, that question is, there will always be part of the species where cohesion is not their main agenda, it's dominance.
Right.
We see it in the animal kingdom. I don't think that ever gets bred out of a species.
We are the animal kingdom.
We humans have a choice to decide whether or not we want to act on impulse A or impulse B.
But there are some humans that make that choice consciously, that it is more important to them to be dominant than to coexist and get along.
When you see it in other animals, it's kind of in their nature. We don't believe they necessarily have the choice.
It's in the nature of human beings now.
Does the new top lion who comes in, who displaced the other one, really have a choice to not kill all the lion cubs
I don't know what
of the previous
world
lion.
are you two guys
They
living
do.
in that you don't see it in our day-to-day life now, that there are people that are just so clearly that cohesion, coexistence is not in their agenda, and it's just sort of dominate.
It's very tribal.
Yes.
Yeah.
But are they the majority? Do they hold policy-making power or military power? At any given time, there's always a give and take in humans, and I don't see why it wouldn't be true
Well,
for
the key
aliens
there is give
too.
and take, because there are times they are the majority, and that's
Yes,
the problem.
that's right.
That's how we
And
had
so-
World War I and World War II.
Right. So one could imagine that after, for example, the Vulcans visit Star Trek on again April 5th, 2063. Okay.
I got that
then
marked in my
The
calendar.
humans basically decided that the majority of humans decided that they will live in this peaceful coexistence unification, and then the rest of them were living still, had those impulses, but lived within that society in which the unification
My
was more
daughter's
appropriate.
essay for college
No.
was about the United Federation of Planets and how they all came. Because she was active in what do you call the UN? The
Model United
UN.
Nations.
She was active
Yeah.
in Model UN in high school. And that all came together when she saw what happened in Star Trek. And then she
Marvelous.
imagined
That's
this
great.
future inspired by the Star Trek
Isn't that awesome?
model.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
she got older and was crushed by reality. We're moving on.
All right, keep it going.
Hello, Dr. Tyson. My name is Abdul from San Diego. My question, if a non-human intelligence wanted to watch a young civilization without interfering, what would a scientifically plausible observation strategy look like? And would we even recognize it if it were already happening? This is exactly what I was talking about earlier.
So here's the thing. We have already displayed ourselves to the universe by leaked radio waves that have been leaving Earth ever since the Hitler rallies of the 1930s. If you're approaching Earth, you're going to see our leaked radio waves first. And it will be the Hitler waves, and the story Contact made hay out of that.
That's right.
All right. So the aliens first saw Nazis, right? And then the early radio broadcasts, you have like Howdy Doody and Amos and Andy. All right. And then you have the first TV broadcasts, because TV goes straight out. That's why they try to keep it down, but it's escaped.
Then they saw the Kardashians and stopped watching.
Early TV. Kardashians mostly cable. That's not broadcasting. That's
Yeah,
my point.
that's true, 'cause they don't
gotta
pay for
be.
cable, right.
Like Beavis and Butthead is mostly contained on Earth because it's cable TV. So it's the broadcast TV. So you have.
But what about Hulu, which goes over Wi-Fi, which is internet? They probably get that.
Well, yeah, I don't. Yeah, we'll have to think about that.
You get some
You
percentage.
get some of that. Let's take off the gloves and just take on the aliens in the most exotic way possible. Here's my favorite alien, the one who lives in 4 dimensions. And they just hover over us in their 4th dimension. We won't even know they're there. It's like we hovering over the surface of a desk, the 2-dimensional surface of a desk, and the creatures in the desk, they can't see out of the desk because they're locked in the 2 dimensions, and I see and know everything they're doing. So give me some 4-dimensional aliens, and they'll know everything.
As long as they can get close enough without penetrating our 3 dimensions.
Yeah, if they come into our 3 dimensions, we'll know.
That's right.
But if they stay out of it, so a 4-dimensional alien has got this.
It's them
And
staying,
I talk about
but is
4-dimensional
them
aliens.
staying out of our 3 dimensions, does that limit what they can know?
If you have something inside a box, no one in that 2-dimensional world can see inside that box unless you pry it open. We 3-dimensional people see right into that box because it has no roof, because a roof needs a 3rd dimension. So the 4-dimensional aliens can see inside your body. They can see inside any 3D enclosure. So they would know everything.
In order to see, though, they would have to receive some sort of electromagnetic radiation or other kinds of
Some
signals.
signal.
They would need a receiver. Just like we have our eyes to be able to look on the surface of the
Something would
table.
have to be transmitting to them.
That transmission has to happen.
Right.
And so there is some exchange of energy or subatomic
Yeah,
particles
yeah,
of some
Charles
kind
is
or
right.
another. So the detection issue is actually important to know whether or not we can see somebody, whether it's in 3 dimensions or in 4.
Well, in that
That's right.
transmission, couldn't we then become conscious that something is detecting that transmission?
Unless it just leaks out and you don't even know or
Right,
care.
right.
Yeah.
So we have an alien that's far away, and they see our I Love Lucy and My Favorite Martian reruns, right? They could could have these wonderful radio antennae or something, and they could watch with their radio eyes, and then we wouldn't know.
But the moment they been admitted,
right? But the moment that they tried to interact or like send some sort of a beam or a radar signal or something, then we could detect them.
Okay, we should move on.
Keep it going.
Yeah, Brian Rawl. Hello, Dr. Tyson. Brian from San Antonio. Is it possible that the universe itself behaves like a form of intelligence with patterns, self-correcting systems, rather than intelligence being something that only emerges within it?
Are you serious?
I got everything in the book.
Okay, so here's the thing. The bigger you are, okay, you're still limited by the speed of light. So if you have something the size of the universe and you wanted to act as an intelligence, there's a limit to how quickly or efficiently it can move decision-making thoughts across itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's limited by the speed of light. And what's the diameter of the universe now? Is 90 billion light years?
Depends on whether you count co-moving or not
so
co-moving
today's diameter of the universe,
about 92 billion light years.
billion light years. So if you're an entity that size, and you have the proverbial bald head, and you have an itch, you have to tell your fingernail, which is over here, to scratch it. How long is that going to take to respond?
Right.
The point is, above a certain size, what we think of as active, functioning intelligence, metabolism, is just not realistic. Because you're limited by actual laws of physics that apply across the universe.
But then how do we distinguish between like a universe that actually has some form of intelligence and one that's just following consistent physical laws?
Well, that depends on your definition of intelligence, right?
If following a physical law is intelligence, then you're Spinoza's God.
That's right.
Right there.
Yeah. The rationalists had a different opinion compared with the existentialists, compared with anybody else. But I think it would be illustrative to think about Earth as a possible intelligence, right? The Gaia hypothesis suggests that, in fact, Earth is alive in its own way, but in a way that we can't understand it, just like an ant cannot understand human intelligence.
The idea was, which I thought was kind of thin and weak in its scientific foundations, but it was a nice new age thought that Earth somehow is self-regulating. If you're self-regulating, maybe there's some intelligence going on in there.
We're self-regulating too.
Yeah, we keep our body temperature. You get hot, you sweat, it cools you off.
Right.
It's an automatic response.
And the thing is, that's nothing that we think about. I mean, I don't think about myself getting warm and then I warm up. My whole body does it without my conscious thought.
So check this out.
Meaning your body is a separate, own intelligent organism, separate from your mind.
It's how you use the word intelligence.
There you go.
But how do you know it's not necessary to have your mind for your body to be self-regulating?
Because there are plenty of people who self-regulate and have no thoughts at all.
Yeah, it's a matter whether you're conscious of it or not. I mean, your body's doing it all by itself. Yes, maybe you need the brain, but if you're not conscious of it...
But the brain could be feeding it through subconscious.
Sure. I'm just saying that in either case... I'm just trying to get us up to the understanding of the Gaia hypothesis.
Gotcha.
So here's an interesting feature of the Gaia hypothesis. Forest fires burn because there's oxygen in the air. There's a limit to how much the forest will burn because at one point there's not enough oxygen to sustain it, and it'll put itself out.
Hence self-regulating.
Then forests pick up again. And what do trees give off? Oxygen. Okay. So so if the oxygen level gets too high, all the forests would burn and you have nothing left to replace the oxygen. So it's self-regulating in that way. That's one example of a Gaia hypothesis. One thing feeding that hypothesis. So you want to call that intelligence? Okay.
That's an interesting point, right? So Paul was leading, in my opinion, toward a very good point. Do you need the intelligence that exists there in order for us to have such a good self-regulating system, right? In other words, if we were not intelligent, does that mean also we would not be as well regulating of ourselves, right? The answer seems to be no on a biological
look at all the other life
system.
Forms. Look at all the other life forms.
Example.
Let's just pick the amoeba, right? The little microscopic blob.
Sure.
right? It regulates. It has little organelles inside it. It gloms around a little.
But how do we know
helpless
it doesn't have a
paramecium.
mind, not as we define the mind? This is what this is the larger point that I'm making.
Right.
We have all of these terms and rules and things that we've figured out on Earth up to this point in 2026. How do we know that the amoeba doesn't have something that's comparable to a human mind, but it's not called a mind, doesn't look like a mind, but can function in a way? So how can you say that with certitude?
I think that's on that level is semantic.
From a scientific perspective, we cannot prove absolutely that it has it, but we can prove, and we've shown already, that it doesn't exhibit it. It doesn't show it, and no amoeba we've ever seen has ever held up a sign saying, "Hey, I'm here." Right?
And I'll show you something else. I used to live in a roach-infested apartment, like when I was in graduate school.
Yeah, I did too in law school. I did in D.C.
And I studied roaches, and it's fascinating. Okay, so they will respond to air currents. So if an air current comes in here, it immediately goes this way. So this is how you do it. So the roach is there. If you blow air to its left, and just get the thing to its right, and it runs right into your thing. Otherwise, you go to where you go because it feels the air coming down the thing, and you miss it. You will never squash it.
Where
in the
were
center.
you in law school? I had so many of them.
So my point is, I would read up on roaches, and apparently, their reaction time is they have. If what I read is correct, their legs, I would say their feet, their legs have air sensors that immediately trigger to the leg and don't go through the roach's brain.
Are you familiar with the parasitic wasps that will actually drill a hole into the brain of a cockroach until it follows it around like a zombie? Then you bury it into a little pit and then feed the eggs and the larvae of the parasites.
You are freaking me out.
I thought it did that with worms.
Oh, they do it with everything.
Yeah.
There are thousands and thousands of species of parasitic wasps. That's how they survive.
And they have to eat away in such a way that the organism is still alive.
That's right.
So it keeps the nervous system intact.
Okay,
time
one
for
more. Okay, hello, Dr. Tyson. I am Aikia, a regular listener from India living in San Francisco. I wanted to know your thoughts on the dark forest theory presented as a solution to the Fermi paradox in the three-body trilogy. Spoiler warnings for others. The dark forest principle says that when each civilization discovers the other, there exists no solution where they do not end up attacking each other. So the universe is teeming with intelligent life, but they are silent to avoid being attacked. That book has raised the bar for first contact themed stories for me, and I cannot enjoy other alien movies anymore.
Wow. Okay, so she's referring to the novel, which of course became the TV
Three-Body
series,
Problem,
which is still, they're waiting for the next season to drop.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So what do you, take us there.
I usually think of the context in which the three-body problem was originally written. The author is from mainland China, who is under a pretty repressive regime. Challenges to authority are routinely smacked down, right? That is one interpretation.
And she's from mainland China.
That's correct.
And
the original author.
So some of these themes were, I didn't read the book, I'm sorry, but I saw the
Yes,
series.
that's right.
These themes are captured in the early storytelling
That's right.
in the
this
series.
is why, for example, the Dark Forest idea is so strong in this series, right? The three-body problem is indeed that the assumption is that if you get any kind of advantage, you must be smacked down. Now, the opposite is like the Vulcans in First Contact, what we were talking about, right? Which happens again, April 5th, 2063. Okay, now when that happened, instead, it was a benevolent reaction. Everybody got along and everybody enjoyed each other's company. And so the Dark Forest idea doesn't have to be the only way, but it is a very interesting way in the story because the story unfolds with that as a key plot point.
But this question is written in absolute. So the universe is teeming with intelligent life, but they are silent to avoid being attacked. Now, that presumes, I assume in the question, that they don't choose to be silent, but they're smacked down, as you put it.
Anyone who doesn't stay silent is smacked down.
But why one civilization sort of dominates, is dominant over another? Why is that? How do we reach that conclusion? How do you
who
know
smacks down the dominant civilization? Why doesn't it just keep smacking everybody else down?
Without overly
if it's dominant.
Right. Without overly spoiling the situation, what basically happens is that other species observe more powerful species smacking down other species.
And it becomes learned
because
behavior?
they've learned that as soon as a spacecraft comes up from some civilization or some species, some other species shows up and wipes them out. And so if you've learned and you've seen that, you go, oh, we're not going to reveal our presence.
Or you take a preemptive strike.
Or you take a preemptive strike.
So,
and so
someone
you become
is playing whack-a-mole
that's right.
on anybody who rises
and
up.
You become the one that smacks anybody else down. That
But
you
then
see.
ultimately, that person with the who's controlling whack-a-mole, inevitably,
they in principle could take over everybody.
But that's all in sort of our language, our culture, in movies and TV and in books. There is a presumption, right? Because then the story peters out because there's nowhere to go. So that person that's dominant ultimately has to be taken down.
Yep.
But we don't know if that's true.
By someone who's more dominant.
By someone that's more dominant.
That's
but we
right.
don't know if that's
Yeah,
actually
so
true.
I think the
Like if
takeaway.
the three of us
be so stupid. Like, none of them have, like, literally any level of, like, reasonability, impulse control, or anything. Like, the whole family, they're all fucking retarded. Holy shit.
We don't care. We'll lock the house down.
What you mean?
We'll surround it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell us what happened? I don't know if they talked to you yet. Let's step behind the car.
Yeah, the guy, I heard gunshots. And I heard gunshots, and he was holding the girl down. She left.
Which one was holding the girl down?
Jesus.
This guy?
Yeah. Okay. And he was gonna.
This one with the jean shorts?
Yeah, he says he's gonna kill her. And the
He's
other
gonna
guy
kill her.
comes up
Oh,
and says,
wow.
"Well, just leave her alone." And then they attacked me.
Okay. You want paramedics?
No.
Okay. Who attacked? Which one was it?
Both of them.
Okay.
For what?
Both of them.
Because I told them to quit beating on the girl.
What was she wearing?
I have no idea. Okay.
It became clear that some suffered more from the chaos than others, like the bruised man whose only crime was telling the family behind the attacks to stop beating a little girl. For now, it was all just hearsay.
Smart.
But nothing was going to convince the officers faster than becoming victims themselves.
Okay, so let me tell you like this.
Oh, no.
Y'all, all of y'all, it's on. Y'all said it's public property.
Well, we're conducting investigations. We're really
For what?
Because there's shots fired. People are extremely uncooperative.
Huh?
Explain for what? Explains it to her, huh? Oh God! Huh?
Look at all these police.
Yeah, because there was shots multiple times.
Who is you yelling at?
Who's?
You don't yell at me. I don't care who it is. That's one thing you're not gonna do. You're gonna respect me. You're gonna have some respect. I don't care. No, because I was talking to you like a grown person.
I could see that.
You sit up here and you just raised your voice at me. I don't play that. You already.
The thing is that there is like a group of people that think that like if you get disrespected, it's like reasonable to act this way. You can't do that. You just can't. Like that's not the, like you can't have a world like this. This is crazy.
Voice at me. You were talking more calmly.
We had multiple calls for shots fired.
Oh, you know she's getting arrested. You know that.
We want to make sure nobody's hurt.
Nobody's hurt. Like I was trying to tell him before he started raising his voice at me. He said that I was like, okay. He said they're being uncooperative. But it's like all these police for what? You know what I'm saying? Like
Well, anytime we get a call
No, I don't know what you're saying at all.
for possible shots fired, yeah, there's going to be a big response. You have to understand for one, for everybody's protection here.
You're shooting off a gun.
So you have to understand there will. It's one for everybody's protection here.
You're shooting off a gun.
So you have to understand there will. It's not like a call where there's a lost cat or something. We'll get it. We get it. Investigation. Not yet. We're all just getting here. So.
Okay, and I'm the dominant one. You guys aren't taking me out because I got a pocket protector, and you ain't kicking my ass. Period.
I would never try, Paul.
Oh, see, the way you said that, that means you could kill me with 2 fingers. You gave me that deadly look.
With the heart explosion,
yeah, exactly.
the exploding heart.
Right, yeah.
I think the takeaway here is if the dark forest hypothesis is accurate, nothing prevents the galaxy from being teeming with life, yet no one knowing anything about it for those reasons given.
Right.
And
knowing anything about each other.
Because it's one of, I give a list of several dozen reasons why we might not have been visited by aliens, and that's one of them. If you don't believe we have actually been visited yet, then you already have the answer. We haven't been visited. So you can make up anything as long as at the end nobody's visited us, and that's one of them, the dark forest hypothesis. Another one is interstellar space is just really hard to travel. Okay, another one is intelligent life, as we think of it, is rarer than we ever imagined, and we could be unique in the galaxy, even if the galaxy is teeming with life. Someone wrote a book with 75 explanations to account for the Fermi paradox, and no one haven't visited yet.
Wow. So where are they can be answered 75 different
75,
ways.
at least 75. My favorite answer, let's call it 76, is from our colleague, Steven Soder. Works up here on the 6th floor. I'm on the 5th floor of the Hayden Planetarium. He's on the 6th floor.
This.
Okay.
Steve emailed this out.
Steve Soder co-wrote the original Cosmos with Carl Sagan and the first of the 2 Cosmoses that I host. Brilliant guy, knows everything about everything. Okay. He offered an hypothesis. You know what it is? It's, if you're a species and you want to colonize the galaxy, you'll set up a Mayflower-style colony. They'll go find a planet. They'll build a rocket factory and send 2 rockets out, and they'll build a rocket factory and say 2. So go from 1 to 2 to 4 to 8 to 16.
Propagate.
If you do this, 37 of these trips, you will have enough civilizations to populate every habitable planet in the galaxy. Okay, you can run the math. 37. That's not very many.
No.
And if it takes you, so what if it takes you 100,000 years to travel to the next planet.
Okay.
37 of those is well within the lifetime of the galaxy.
Okay, so in the context of this discussion about aliens, where does that take us?
I'm getting you there. Okay, so what Steve Soder asked was, if you want to colonize planets that badly, and it's deep within you, then it is self-limiting because you start running out of planets.
Not because you run out of knowledge, science,
No.
engineering,
We're running
physics.
out of planets. And then I'm saying, I want that planet. But you already have that planet.
There we go. Now we got the civilization.
Oh, there we go. Okay. You already have that planet.
Yeah.
Or
And
the
I'm
other
like,
planet's too far away.
And you come and I'm like, bring it. Bring it. I know you wrestled in high school and college, but you ain't that wrestler now, Tyson. Bring it.
So what he's suggesting is, if you're that hungry for planets, that works at the beginning, but as that continues, you end up fighting each other over the more and more limited real estate, and the entire operation collapses under its own greed.
Okay.
And we can say...
But isn't that going west and what the Native Americans experienced?
No, this
right?
is... Forget the whole world experienced this when you had your big colonizing powers, what was England and France and Portugal and Spain and the Netherlands. And that's just Europe. And then you had the Japanese Empire and the Ottoman Empire. And everybody's carving up the world. That works until you want a piece of land that the other colonist already has, and then they fight each other.
Yeah, that's called Russia and the Ukraine.
Yes. It's Spain and it's Spain and Portugal. It's England and how long did England and France fight each other?
100 years.
100. Okay, all right. So we've already seen that because the real estate on Earth is finite, in the same way the planets in the galaxy are finite.
So this is inevitable.
And the whole system imploded. There's not really any colonization going on anymore.
No.
There's just one problem
There's
with
actually
that
been
hypothesis.
decolonization.
What's that? That's right. Decolonizing.
If a decolonization catastrophe happened like that, we should see the results by now.
It's been happening slowly over time. This woman is from India. This is the perfect, appropriate. India was under dominant of the Brits.
Let's say in the alien civilization mentality, okay, we imagine the Milky Way galaxy, and there was a British-style colonial situation going on, and there was an Indian-style place happening. If that happened at any reasonable time, we would have seen the results of them destroying each other. We would have seen a war. We would have seen flashes of this and that.
That presupposes that we're sophisticated enough to see it. Maybe we're not sophisticated enough to see it
in
yet.
that case, we should watch and wait, and maybe we will. That hypothesis is one that can be tested through observation. If we ever see the remnants of a civilization or of a society or a whole bunch of aliens that cause that problem, then we will know it happened.
I know we have to wrap. Good point. I want to bring full circle. If that happens, we should put it on pay-per-view and charge for it.
$80?
It's money right there.
There you
know
go.
what I'm talking about?
All right.
Come on.
No, the octagon. I'd like the octagon.
As long as it has probes sticking out from the side.
There you go.
I think we got to end it there.
We gotta wrap.
No.
This is an endlessly
I'm feeling a cosmic perspective, though. Will you give me a I'm feeling one.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm feeling one.
Yeah.
Some of the most successful stories that involve aliens that want to harm us, that want to skin us alive, that want to eat us, that want to destroy civilization, that want to get rid of everything we care about and value. And I had to ask myself, where does that come from? Why are we thinking this? It's our worst nightmare that something more powerful than us descends on Earth and has its way with us. Then I thought, what's it based on? It's based on what we think the aliens will do. It's based on what we suspect they think of us on arrival. But really, when you part the curtains, it's not what we think the aliens will do to us. It's what we know we will do to ourselves in exactly that situation. When a higher technological civilization confronts one of lesser technological prowess, it has never boded well for the lesser technologically advanced civilization ever. They've been slaughtered, enslaved, imprisoned. All the worst things humans have ever done to one another have manifested when there was a mismatch in the technological prowess of one civilization encountering another. And so we look up at aliens and we want to think the aliens are going to be evil when all we're doing is holding up a mirror to ourselves. And that is a cosmic perspective. This has been Star Talk, the alien edition of Cosmic Queries. Charles, always good to have you.
Thank you
and
so
we'll look
much.
for your quantum physics book.
Thank you so much.
And you're on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tour in the country, paulmercurio.com.
So that website has all your
got all my
appearances.
tour dates coming out for my stand-up show and my off-Broadway show, Permission to Speak. So yeah.
All right. Awesome. You got it. This has been another installment of Star Talk, Cosmic Queries, Alien Edition. We got to do this again, gentlemen. Neil deGrasse Tyson here, as always, bidding you to keep looking up.
Chances are you've seen one of these videos before, and the reason being is because the channel that creates them, Zach D Films, is actually bigger than Mr. Beast by many metrics. And the reason being is because these videos are incredibly interesting, and there's a lot of different things within them that I've always wanted to try. And that's what led us to this video today, because I reached out to Zach D Films himself to test some of Zach D Films videos with me, but he wasn't available. But I will be doing it myself. So I found some of the craziest Zach D Films videos and claims out there, and I will be testing every single one of them. Here's a video, how to split an apple with your bare hands. Now this is a real apple we're talking about. So I don't know how you're supposed to actually pull apart an apple. Apples are hard. I've felt them before.
Twist out the stem, then press the base of both thumbs deep into the small stem cavity.
Okay, I'm following.
Wrap your fingers tightly around the apple and squeeze hard with your fingers. Hold that pressure and roll your
and then you're literally going to break the apple.
Causes your fingers to compress the apple
okay.
from the sides while
and
your
then
thumbs pry the top apart. As you increase
it still looks like a lot of effort.
A crack forms in the stem pocket.
All right.
The apple splits cleanly in half.
Absolute cap. There is no shot this works. All right, so let's give this a try. I have an apple right here. I'm going to follow Zach's instructions to a T. So first off, I'm going to remove the stem of the apple. Didn't realize it was called that, but the stem is now officially removed, which just leaves the apple. Now I'm going to put my thumbs, he said right there, and I'm going to put pressure down. Oh my gosh, you have to be the world's strongest man to break this. Wasn't the cleanest cut. I think maybe even more impressive, the fact that I was able to cut the apple into this shape right here, because that's not even a natural tear. Kind of works. I guess I could try it again if we want to get a perfect one. So I'm gonna give it one more try, but so far so good. It looks like Zach D Films' apple technique is decent. Zach D Films, you're a liar! Oh! That wasn't even the technique he said, but it worked. Whew. The Sam B. Ucha version of this is, if you want to tear an apple with your hands, what you should do is just rigorously pull at it until you break it. That simple. I'm exhausted, so I'm gonna cool down a little bit, but let's move to the next video. So this is one of his most popular videos. It's called How Worm Charming Works.
If you shove
what is worm
stick
charming?
in the ground and rub it with another stick, there's a good chance that worms will start to crawl to the
No shot. This is real.
This is
what?
The vibrations mimic the sensation of rain, and worms like the rain.
What? There is no way this works.
It's rain falling on the ground, which causes them to come out and get caught.
It makes sense, right? Intuitively, a worm knows vibrations because it's blind, and so if you create vibrations into the ground, they're gonna think it's raining, because like lightning striking or the water's hitting the ground, sure. But there's no way I could summon worms by just getting two sticks and creating vibrations. If this works, then I take back every single thing I've ever said about Zach D Films, because he is an absolute legend for this trick. All right, I guess we're gonna go worm charming. Okay guys, well I found two sticks. I found one that's going to drive into the ground, and then another one that I'm going to charm the worms with. So I'm out here in a pretty soil-rich, dense dense area. There's also some deer poop around, so I think this is a good place where worms should be. And I'm going to summon them despite the fact that it's about 4 p.m. right now, so the worms are probably asleep. But I'm gonna wake them up with some sound vibrations. So let's drive this into the ground. There's no shot this works. All right, I'm really getting in there. Like, I am pretty deep. Close up that hole, and now according to Zach D Films, all I'm supposed to do is just play some sound vibrations and a bunch of worms are going to emerge inside of like 60 seconds. Come out, little worm, I want to eat you. All right, oh, come out, little worm. I was just kidding. I'd like to form a relationship with you. Consensually, of course. And not in that type of way. I mean purely platonic and experimental. We see anything? All right, nothing yet, but I'm gonna keep charming these worms. All right, guys, well, I am done with this area because I did that for like literally 8 minutes and I'm very bored of just digging in one spot. No worms have emerged, so I'm gonna find a different spot in the soil, but I am determined to find a worm. I know worms are like sleeping right now, but I actually do trust this works. It makes sense. Worms are blind, they respond to vibrations, they think it's raining outside. It makes sense to me. Okay, this looks pretty moist here. Come out, worms. Ooh. Wait, what is that? That is definitely a worm. It's something. I am summoning worms. I am the worm king. He's going towards it as well. All right, I'm gonna dig around a little bit. I'm curious if there's other worms that are about to emerge. Oh, wait a second. Is that no way. No way. Oh my gosh, that's a worm. He's moving to the music. In this spot, I was playing for less than 5 minutes. 2 worms, different sizes, different species probably, different ages. I don't know what other classifications of worms we have, but pretty unbelievable. So Zach D Films, you are right that you can actually summon worms if you try to charm them with 2 sticks using vibrations. I thought for sure this one was gonna be a gag. I did not think this would be legitimate, but you guys saw it with your own eyes. So that video is true. You can absolutely do that, which is crazy.
Here we have the double domino effect.
If you line up a row of bricks on a flat surface and space them exactly 1 brick length apart, but the last one doesn't have anything in front of it.
This is just dominoes.
Slide forward just enough to make the brick in front of it fall flat. And as this one slips forward, it lets the next one fall.
Okay.
A backwards chain reaction.
So you get a double domino? Wait.
Perfectly straight line.
No way. Okay, that's actually pretty insane. I'm not a big Domino's fan. I mean, I like the pizza. Domino's pizza is very good. But Domino's itself is quite tedious, like the setup and everything. And I personally think that the payout is pretty weak. Like, okay, cool. Like, that was kind of cool to witness. But if I were to get a double domino effect whereby everything falls and then it goes backwards, essentially, that would be very cool. So this could be an absolute game changer for Domino's fans out there. So let's go ahead and get some bricks and try this.
So let's see if that double domino effect that Zach talks about is real. So I have 11 bricks right here laid out, and look, I have them perfectly distanced. I use an actual brick in order to do the distance. So as you can see, it leaves that perfect centimeter by which once it falls, there's gonna be a little bit of slack, and then once the last one falls, then that second double domino effect should happen. I'm very skeptical, obviously. I don't think that's gonna be a real thing. I also think with bricks, it's going to be incredibly difficult, but here we go. So I guess I just push it, and then hopefully the magic happens. Good, 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 good. Double domino effect is real? I actually had no idea if that was gonna work or not, and that worked flawlessly first try. Absolutely insane. Shout out to Michael, he stacked those perfectly. I don't know how precise you need to be. If you have 12 bricks lying around, I definitely recommend trying it. So that one works. I'm excited to see the rest. So far, this has been crazy.
So one of Zach's most popular videos is how to escape a car trunk. Now this actually might be quite useful for some of you guys if you ever find yourself in a car trunk. So let's see if this is legitimate or not. So first, let's watch this video.
If you're trapped in the trunk of a vehicle,
you never want to be in that situation.
Start searching for the glow-in-the-dark release hatch. If you don't see the
Wait, do trunks really have that?
This may allow you to release the seat.
Okay, I've seen in movies before that you're able to do that or kick out the headlights.
This small opening will allow you to signal for help.
All right, so it looks like there's a couple of options if you get trapped in a trunk. The most interesting one to me is that glow-in-the-dark pulley lever that opens the trunk from the inside. I didn't know that those existed. I haven't spent a lot of time in a trunk, but I guess I'm about to. So let me go ahead and get a sedan that has a trunk like that and then see
if I can escape it.
So as you guys saw, according to Zach's video, you're able to get locked in a trunk, but then manually let yourself out, because apparently in every single trunk since 2010, there's actually a little lever that you could pull that glows in the dark just in case you get kidnapped, in which you could exit the trunk. And I also read that apparently 200 people per year die from suffocation inside of a trunk, but then I saw that there's also technically airflow, so it's not completely shut, so I don't know how that works. But nonetheless, I'm going to trap myself in this trunk and then follow Zach's instructions and see if I can get out. So Michael took the keys, show that you have the keys, and it is locked. I have my flashlight because I have to look around in here, and yeah, I'll see you guys hopefully after I open this trunk. Hopefully Zach isn't lying about this one. Bye guys. Wow, it is insanely dark in here, but look at this. The one thing I see, it's glow in the dark right here. That is the lever you're supposed to pull. This is what it looks like in a trunk. So you have this little thing right here, but this is what Zach said. If I pull this, supposedly this entire thing is going to open. So do I literally just pull it? Wait a second. It was literally that easy. I literally straight up just pulled that and I escaped from the trunk. All right, I guess that works. So if you ever get trapped in the trunk of a sedan for any reason, just follow Zach's instructions, shut the door, pull the glow in the dark thingy, and you're out of the trunk. I'm glad that works. Hopefully that could save somebody one day if you get kidnapped.
How to remove cactus spines. So I hope nobody ever is in this situation, but let's see how you could remove them if you happen to get the thorn stuck in you after touching a cactus.
If you touch a cactus, you'll probably get the spine stuck in your skin. And if you try to pull them out, you can actually break them off in your flesh.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I don't want that to happen.
You should apply a layer of glue over the area.
Apply glue?
Dried, quickly peel it off in a smooth
motion. That's interesting.
Pull out the spines evenly, causing them to stay intact.
Okay, so the glue acts as an adhesive to the thorns, so then it can just harden, and then you pull everything out together. Am I really gonna test my hand on a cactus? All right, let's do this.
Okay, I'm not too excited about this one, but I am about to try it to see whether or not Zach D. Film's video is legit, so here we go. Just kidding. I wouldn't actually use my hand, and so instead I have a fake hand right here, but this hand actually is an exact replica of a human hand, so it has the same sort of like vibe to it as a hand. So I'm going to stick this on, and hopefully some of these like prickly things come onto it, and then we'll use the Elmer's glue to hopefully remove him from this guy's hand. Because he already has like mangled fingers and everything, so I'd hate to see him have cactus thorns just wedged in forever. All right, here goes nothing. So I'm going to slam the back of his hand, so this area, as hard as I can against it, and I want to wedge it like, I don't know, half an inch deep or something. 3, 2, 1. Ooh, I felt that. He's already got a couple in him, but I'll give some more. But let's really get a lot. Oh no, I'm sorry, man. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, that one hit me. Okay, that is a position you don't want to be in. So now it's time to treat him with the Elmer's glue. So I'm going to pour this all over. We're going to wait for it to dry, and then I'm going to peel it off, and hopefully it removes all the thorns. We could save this guy. So here goes nothing. A little medical treatment for our guy. There we go. Yep. Frosting him like a Pop-Tart, and good. Okay, so now we wait, but every single needle is now covered in Elmer's glue, so this thing should dry in about 30 minutes or so, and hopefully it peels right off. All right, let's wait.
How to make a candle from an orange. No shot this works.
Stick the orange in a glass and slice the peel all the way around. Then slide a spoon under the peel to separate it from the fruit.
Okay, now, so you just kind of decapitate it
out of the bottom, leaving the white core attached.
I've seen that white core. So is that just a wick?
Oil over it until it's
olive oil. Okay, so that mimics wax.
Before lighting the core. As it burns, it'll pull oil up through its fibers, just like a wick, giving you a homemade candle to burn for hours.
Burn for hours. All right, that's really cute. So you're gonna get like an oil and citrus blend candle. I mean, it makes sense in theory, but I definitely have to try this out.
Okay, time to make this orange candle. We are currently waiting for the last segment to continue to dry, and then afterwards we'll be looking at that. But in the meantime, I want to see if we can carve ourselves a nice orange scented candle. So the first thing it says to do is to carve a little circle around. Now this orange doesn't even fit in the glass in a nice way, so I'm gonna have to do it manually. Already breaking Zach D. Film suggestion, but that's okay. Oh, that's really clean. Oh my gosh, that's clean. Now I'm going to slide this spoon in so I could separate the skin from the fruit. So now I'm going to take off the top half here. I think that's the candle wick. I think we actually just did it. I mean, that's definitely the wick. So now let's see if our candle works. So to put in some olive oil. Okay, so it says fill it halfway. That looks to be about half. And now I'm supposed to light this, and it's going to be an orange candle. Come on, Zach.
Please, baby. Wait a second. Is that working? Wait, I see the flame emerging. Oh, I think I just talked and it went away. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on.
It's happened.
Oh! Oh! Let there be light. Let there be light. Orange candle is legitimate. Zach D Films was not lying to us. He was absolutely telling the truth when he said that you can create a candle out of an orange. There's the proof. The proof is in the pudding, or in this case, the citrus. Okay guys, so it's been about 30 minutes or so, and it looks like the glue is somewhat dry, so I'm going to attempt to peel this off, and hopefully these thorns come off with it. All right, here we go. It just went right through the glue. Hold on, wait a second. I do not believe this is working. Yep, this is not working at all. Hold on, here we go. What about here? This doesn't work whatsoever. This is, mark it down, the worst one yet. It is not gonna get worse than this. So we had a lot of good ones, but this one unfortunately is a failure. How to open a padlock with a soda can?
If someone
all right, let's see what you got, Zach.
Bottom of a padlock, they might be able to lift the pins.
Okay, yes, I've actually done this for another video. So it is true, you can use a little pick to do it.
Piece from the side of a soda can, and folding the top works as a substitute.
A soda can, okay.
The legs are wrapped around a metal strip, leaving the middle part sticking.
And what do we do with that?
That piece can be slid into the lost
Oh,
gap,
through there? What?
down, and then the shackle pulled up to pop it open.
No, okay. You're telling me a soda can open a master lock. If that were to work, that is some next level thievery that's going to be happening from people who are watching this video. I don't even know if I should attempt this because this might unlock a whole new world for thieves. But of course I'm going to, so I'm gonna do that right now. Okay, I have to admit I'm very skeptical about this one, but I do have my padlock right here and I have the key, but we don't need this, because we are just going to open this padlock the old-fashioned way with an aluminum can. Now, according to Zach, in order to open this, I have to drink my Olipop right here and then take the aluminum can and then cut into it, and then somehow it's able to slide in here and unlock it. We'll see if that's true. But step one would be to finish the Olipop. Let's take a sip of that. That's insane. You guys know I love Olipop, but they just dropped 2 new flavors. So they have raspberry sherbet right here, and then they have blackberry vanilla right there. That was actually a fan favorite that they brought back. These are 2 new seasonal flavors, so we're gonna drink this before we get in, but I wanna tell you a little bit about them. So you guys know I love Olipop, that's no secret, but they are actually reimagining soda with high fiber and low sugar. So it supports digestive health, and it tastes much better than traditional soda. The raspberry sherbet, 30 calories, 6 grams of fiber, and 2 grams of sugar. And it's only here for the summer season. Now I like this one, but Michael likes his blackberry vanilla, which also has impressive stats to it, and it does taste quite good in your defense. It has 50 calories, 9 grams of fiber, and 5 grams of sugar. What do you like about the blackberry vanilla?
Yeah, it's got a bright blackberry tartness that's really refreshing.
It's definitely good, but I'm team raspberry. So if you guys happen to try both of these new 2 summer flavors, let me know which one is your favorite, raspberry sherbet. But blackberry vanilla is good. And Olipop is available at thousands of retailers nationwide, including Walmart and Target. So buy any 2 cans of Olipop in store and they will pay you back for 1. It works on single cans of any flavor at any retailer. So go ahead and scan the QR code right here or click the link in the description to claim the offer. So thank you again to Olipop for sponsoring this video. Now I'm gonna go ahead and finish my raspberry sherbet so we can get into this master lock. So I guess I'll need a box cutter in order to cut into this properly. So let me go ahead and do a little bit of cutout here. I want to cut out basically a mini rectangle here. Sorry, Olipop. Okay, so I just cut out this little sheet right here. Now they want me to cut out a little M, which is going to be 1, 2, 1, 2. And I'm going to fold this up here. And now this is apparently what I'm going to shove into this lock right here, and it's going to unlock. There is no way this works, but let's go ahead and try this. Ooh, it's kind of in there. It's kind of in there. Trigger. Oh, that broke.
A few moments later.
Come on. You see how close that is? It is in there. I have to shimmy it a little further down, and I feel like it's gonna work. Come on. Oh. No way that worked. So after cutting about 5 different strips through my Olipop can, I was able to ultimately get into the master lock. I am so surprised that worked. That shouldn't have worked. I mean, like, why is it so easy to get into a master lock with just a can of soda? All right, so that one we can say is a success. So that one actually works, but I'm excited to see what else we have because there's some even crazier ones. This video has 30,000 comments, so it's one of his most engaged shorts, and it's called The Skittles Lie That Tricked Us All.
There is a secret about Skittles that the company doesn't want you to know.
All right, I kind of like Skittles.
They claim that the candy comes in 5 different flavors.
All right, it does.
The actual truth is that they all taste exactly the same.
Okay, we got Zach on screen.
Color and scent. And according to neuropsychologists, that's enough to trick your brain into thinking they have different flavors.
So The claim here is that Skittles don't actually taste different from one another, and that it's just the scent, and that is enough to convince you that it's a flavor. What I have to do is a blind taste test of all 5 colors, and if I actually have no idea what I'm tasting, then this is absolutely gonna blow my mind. I have to say, I'm very skeptical about this one. I have my Skittles pack right here, and on the back, it says that there are 5 flavors, and they're all different colors, and I've had this a trillion times, but we have lime, strawberry, grape, orange, and lemon. So I'm gonna do a couple of different things. So first off, I'm just going to taste them to confirm what my previous self a couple of weeks ago thought about Skittles, and that is that they're all different flavors. Because this knowledge, knowing this, is crazy. So I have a red one right here, and this is strawberry. Yeah, it tastes strawberry, confirmed. Now I have lime. Yep, 100% taste lime. Just for good measure, I'll try grape. Yes, 100% grape. So now that we've established that Zach D Films is lying, we're gonna actually do a blind taste test because maybe I'm just wrong here. So all 5 flavors are laid out, and Michael is going to shuffle these in front of me, and I'm going to plug my nose because apparently the scent is what kind of gives way to the flavor a little bit, and I'm going to give them a proper taste and see if just on taste alone I can recognize the flavors. So they're all laid out, Michael is going to shuffle them, then I'll go one by one, and we're gonna see if I'm right. Here we go. Okay, so I am blind, and I'm going to plug my nose, and I'm going to reach for the first one. Nose is plugged. Oh no. Okay, lemon. 2? Yep. I think Zach is right. I actually have no idea what this is. It feels bolder though, so I don't think it's like lemon lime. Orange? That's orange. The last one's strawberry. Lime. So that leaves, I think, grape. All right, grape. How'd I do?
Wrong.
I got them all wrong. All right, Zach, it looks like that video is absolutely true. That just blew my mind. If you guys are home and you have a pack of Skittles, try that out because it's true. I mean, without the scent kind of tricking you, the actual taste profile is indistinguishable between all of them. So this is how to make a flying paper bat. I don't even know what that means, but it seems interesting, so let's watch this.
Fold the paper crosswise, then open it back up. Then fold each side towards the middle and open it up.
Okay, it's already way too complicated.
Then pull the inner corners down to make a point. Turn it over and fold the point back on itself.
What?
Next, pull down the top corners to meet at the middle before folding the
Okay, so we're like creating a drone.
Flip it over and pull the
now it looks like a hat.
You and fold it in half.
How many steps is it? There's no way I get this right on the first try.
Press the wings down, leaving a small space.
All right, this better be a cool effect.
Before bending the back of each wing.
And then, what is a paper bat?
Air like a real bat.
Okay, all right, not gonna lie, that is cool. If we can create that, I would be quite happy. It's literally Flappy Bird, but in a paper airplane. All right, so I guess I'm gonna go ahead and find a piece of paper and hopefully create this flying paper bat. I'm pretty skeptical about this one. All right, so as Zach said, I have my pieces of paper here and I'm going to attempt to be forming a paper bat. So it looks pretty complicated. There's a lot of different instructions. So I'm gonna put this together and then we're gonna test this out because that looked really cool, but will it actually work? All right, so fold it. Then I'm gonna fold each side towards the middle. Oh, I already like how that's looking. And open it up by lifting the outer flaps to make 2 wings. Wait, so how does this work? So it wants to do this, I think. So it's looking to do a wing like that? Zach, what are you telling me to do here? This like isn't working. I just don't believe in what you're telling me to do. Like this does not make sense. This part is the bottleneck because you can't do that with a piece of paper. But this is the inverse of what he's telling me to do. That's the only way to get a crease. So I'm gonna just do it my way. So this is the Sam B. Ucha way. I'm not listening to Zach. I would check this video out, Zach, because I think that was an animation issue, because there's no way I could make what you put on screen happen. Okay, so now I have the wings, and it's set. I'm almost ready to fly. I just have to do this and this, and I'm gonna fold this down. Then I'm going to fold these in, and pull the triangle back up. Then we're gonna fold it in half, and we're gonna invert this bad boy. All right, and there we have it. This is the Zach D Films bat plane. This is our aircraft. I actually kind of see it being put together here because we got the little flaps here that are supposed to mimic the bat with like the wings and everything. So I think it's actually going to work. I think this one will be good with the Zach D Films video, but we won't know until we try, and we're gonna do that right now. I'm gonna do 3 different tests. The first one's going to be just a standard throw, and hopefully it's like at the very least, we don't just get a nosedive and this thing can actually fly for a little bit. Test number 1. 3, 2, 1. My worst fear came true. All right, test number 2 is going to be a bit more lofty. I'm going for distance. So the first throw, let's just erase that from our memory banks. And this one is not going to be a nosedive. And my goal is to make it to the transformer over there, to Messi. Bonus points if it actually flaps like Zach said it would.
let's delete that because it's time for the third test, the final test, and this is going to be the professional boomerang airplane bonanza, and I'm going to try and hit young he directly in the eyes, and I'm gonna get a lot of flapping action. 3, 2, 1. We flew backwards. In fact, kind of impressive. I'm not gonna lie, that is something that I did not expect to happen. In the menu of options of what could have happened, that was like option Z. Impressive in that sense, it surprised me, but it did not do what it said it would do. So unfortunately, Zach, that video is untrue and you cannot actually make a bat airplane.
This is the trick that safely picks up broken glass, a situation that nobody likes to run into.
If you smash a glass, turn off all the lights, and lay a flashlight on the floor, the light will catch on the glass shards.
You know what? That's actually smart. How come I've never thought of that?
Will reflect the light back, making them sparkle. Then take half a raw potato.
A potato?
And run it across the glass pieces. The sharp edges will stick into the flesh, and the potato will lift them.
Oh, wait a second.
Sure, it's safe to walk on.
Okay, I think he's actually cooking with this one because so many times you have those little shards from broken glass and they're really difficult to pick up without cutting yourself. So you just need a potato on standby, a flashlight, and darkness. Seems easy enough. Let's run it.
Okay, this one seems very cool. So here I have my Mountain Valley water and I'm going to break it. So then we have a bunch of green glass shards all on the floor. And then I have a russet potato, which I will then be opening up and then seeing if this can basically like suck up the glass shards like Zach D Films showed us. So I guess the first step is to break this on the floor. So, all right, that didn't work. We have reinforcements here. Am I being tricked?